Hey guys, thank you for watching. So I'll be sharing how I made this Resin Geode wall hanging and sharing some tips and tricks along the way. So let's get started. So I started off with a 2x2 board that I cut into the shape I wanted, and I primed one side of it and sanded the edges that I cut. You are gonna need a lot of quartz crystals for this, so I tried to pick out all the ones that were similar in shape and size. And I take a glue gun and I stick it to the edge of the cut side. And I try to point some of them upwards and some of them parallel with the board, just to give it that variation. And this is when it's done. Then I'm gonna mix up some resin. I have these fiberglass beads that are just clear, and I put all along the edges of the quartz crystals, some of them coming over the edge, and then I just take clear resin and put it on top. You want to try to do like a cross-hatching pattern, works best. You don't want to just pour all the resin on top. This is called CERN Relief. I'm going to be using that. And I only had a tiny bit left, so I decided to use these gold glue sticks, I guess they are. But what I was doing was making a relief so the resin could stay in separate sections and not mix in with each other. So I'm just making my design. And then I didn't like that part, so I went over it. And you can see that it forms like a reservoir. And I also added some glass to the side there. So I'm mixing up some more resin. And that's metallic mica powder. This just makes a really nice gold. And I believe that it floats to the top as well. So I just pour it in that area, and then I use a popsicle stick to spread it to the edges. And these are gold pieces, little gold pieces that I'm gonna spread on top. So I just kind of pour it over the top. I'm gonna be able to save the extra, so it's okay. And I had some gold left, so I decided to do around the fiberglass. And I hit it with the heat gun. This is the next day. I'm just brushing off all the pieces and back in the container. And then I use my handy dandy dust buster to get all the extra. I love having that thing next to me. So I use blue tape and I tape up the sides. All the way to the glass. And I mix up some more resin. So I have a pearlescent white, and then I have I guess it's a peach color, and then some white paste. So here I'm mixing up the white. And then the peach color, I guess, I don't know, it's sand. And this is silicone oil. And I decided to try that. Basically, this is a dirty pour, so I poured one color into the other. And then I took some of the silicone oil and I dropped probably 5 drops in there and just mixed it around a few times. And I wanted it to just have a cool effect, but it really didn't do too much. I think the colors are too similar to have too many cells. And then I'm just using a popsicle stick to push the color to the edges. And this is when it started overflowing over the relief lines. And so I just kept wiping it down. And I had to babysit it for a while until it stayed within the edges. And then I hit it with a heat gun. And this is the next day. I'm going to fill the rest of the white spots. I have this nice sage color. It's really nice and opaque. And then in the center, I'm gonna do white. So I added plain white and then the pearlescent white. And then I have that sandy color again. And I added a different kind of white paste because the other stuff wasn't working very well at all. And that is white alcohol ink. And again, I was just trying something out. I thought it would have a really cool effect. But it didn't really do much. And here, like where I poured the green, it's important just to not over pour everywhere, because by the time it hits the sides and levels off, it could possibly overflow. So you want to use a minimal amount, spread it to the edges, and then see if you can fill it in. So I still wanted something else happening there, so I went in with some more white alcohol ink. And it did create some lines, but nothing major. That green pigment is really, it's really strong, so it took over the other color, I think. So down the center, I'm just lining the gold with the peach color, and then I'm gonna fill the rest with white. I was planning on just having it like that, but there were a few things that I wasn't happy with. The sections on the side. So here you can see I'm adding white to that, and it just sort of breaks it up. And this is the next day. So I wasn't, oh no, this was before that. So this is champagne glitter, fine glitter, and I'm gonna do some glitter lines. And I'm not sure the ratio of resin to glitter. I would say it's probably 1 to 5, because you want it to be thick but able to still pour or drip. I have these little containers I got from Temu that work so well for this. So I just pour the mixture in there. then I'm just covering all the areas that two colors intersect. And this can really get tiring on your arm because you're just squeezing so much and it's kind of hard to get the resin out. Sometimes I've done this and my arm's been so sore. So now I'm going to do some marker lines next to the glitter lines, and I use these Deco Art or Deco Color gold markers. They work so well, but it gets expensive because, well, the cheapest I can find them is like $4 if you buy it in bulk. But I went through more than one marker in this project. And it definitely puts a shine to the lines. So, yeah, I thought something in the center was missing. I thought there was too much white. So I found these pieces of shells, and I thought they would work great. So I poured them down the center. And then I had some larger clear glass pieces. I thought that could go in the green area and give it more life. But then I kind of stepped back and realized it was just too much going on. So I took those off. And I'm just going over the shell pieces with clear resin. This is the next day. I'm just doing a layer of resin. And I'm keeping the blue tape on the edges. heat gun. And then the next day, I'm doing my second layer of marker lines. And I'm just going over the exact lines that I did the first time. What's going to happen is you might be able to see it here, but a shadow begins to form underneath the marker line, and you can kind of see layers of lines. It's pretty cool. So this is gold gilding paint. I got it at Michael's, and I'm just brushing it around where the gold resin meets the glass. I just thought it would add some pop and show the texture of the glass. The paint works just amazingly well for resin. So this is a jar of crushed glass, and it's smaller pieces than the ones I already used, and I wanted to add them on top of those, so it would just be an additional layer of sparkle. So I'm brushing it on, and I'm allowing some to hang on top of the quartz. I really just want it to look like the quartz is coming out of the glass. So now I am doing another layer of resin, spreading it all to the edges. And then using a heat gun, and then I'm going over the glass. It's just good to hit the quartz with some resin again to assure that it's in place. Now this stuff, it's called diamond dust, and it is the showstopper. It's a game changer. You sprinkle it on top of the glass. You want to do it after you put the resin on top, because you don't want to pour resin over it. It'll take away from the shine. But it just makes it pop. Taking off the blue tape. I forget why I did this, but sometimes it's good to remove the tape in between layers because it'll get too stuck. But okay, so I'm going over the edges. I'm using my Dremel. This thing works like a charm. and I'm just prepping for the final flood coat. So you just don't want your edges to be sticking up where the resin isn't going to pour over them. So I'm taping the back of this along the edges so the resin the resin's going to drip off the edges onto the back, and this way I can just peel the tape off. And then I saw these spots that were like reddish. It was so weird. It's like they suddenly showed up. So I'm taking that gold paint and I'm kind of painting around it. In different areas. Because using the Dremel caused a lot of dust and particles, I use my husband's, I don't know what it's called, but it has air pressure, and you shoot it right on the spots. It gets the stuff right out. It works so good. And so now I'm doing the final layer of marker lines. And you can see that shadow forming. It's so cool. And this is the layer that you're the most careful with because it's on the top. But you can see how you can see the separate layers. I will be gilding the sides, but before I do that, I'm going to paint the sides. So I take my Deco Color marker and I just go along the top edge, and then I use that gold paint to paint the rest of the edge before I gild it. And that way, if any of the gilding chips off, it'll still be gold. And so this is how I do gilding. You can use like gilding glue or paste, but I use Mod Podge and just brush it along the area. And then I take gold leaf and I cut strips of gold leaf first so it's easier. After I put it down, I take a brush and I just sort of pat it. So I wait probably an hour, and then I use a coarse brush and I brush off all the extra. So now I'm going to do the flood coat. I'm just making sure it's level, which it's so important on this coat. And I'm just spreading it around and pushing it to the edges. You want the resin to flow off the edge, all the edges. And I'm just hitting it with a heat gun. You definitely want to make sure there's no bubbles. Then I'm going to use my fingers and just spread the resin around the edges. And this is the next day. Came out great. Everything's almost done. I have to take the tape off, so I heat it up with the heat gun. And you can see it's getting all the drips off. There were still some chunks, but this saves me a lot of time. So I do have some drips, of course, around the quartz. So I use my husband's rotary tool, and this works so amazing. Before I used this, I didn't even know. I tried to sand them off, and that was really hard. But I get those off, and then I want to sand it. So I start with an 80 grit. And you sand everything, and then I want to seal in the wood. So I'm using a primer that I mixed with black paint. And you just paint the entire back. And now I'm going to install wire on the back so you can hang it. This is what most people don't tell you or show you in tutorials, but you need the D-rings, you need some screws. I have those little clamps or crimps, something crimps. So I'm just measuring down. I couldn't go that far because of where I started the quartz, basically. So I think it was 3 inches on each end. And then I do a 1/2 inch from the edge. And first you just screw on the D-ring. And then you're gonna take the wire, and I basically do double the amount of the length. And then you're gonna pull it down. I mean, this isn't a good enough view to really get what I'm doing, but I think it's called a cow hitch knot. But it's really secure. So you do it to one side. And then you take the 2 crimps and you put them on the line. And you can see I'm using way too much wire, but whoops. And I had it too loose. I ended up redoing this, but you want to make it pretty tight. And then you can push the crimpers through both wires and then crimp it on the end and cut it. And it's just professional looking. And that wire holds, I think it holds 80 pounds or something. And there she is. really happy with this piece. It goes great in my house. And it has a lot of quartz in it, and I love that. So thank you for watching.